Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode number 73 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. Today is Saturday, July the 24th, 2021. I think that's the date. And it's a nice day out today. It's overcast, so it's not quite as hot as it has been lately. And we've got a little bit of a breeze, so it's actually quite nice out. I quite enjoy the weather today. I suspect this might be a little bit of a shorter episode. I don't have a lot to show you. I've got actually one thing to show you, and some other things I want to talk about with what's coming up in the near future with the podcast. So this week, all I have to show you is a finished object. And these are my Yellow Brick Road socks. They're done. This is a pattern by Star Athena. They were the lap 2 high octane pattern for the Super Sock World Championship competition. Again, I did not finish them on time to get points or a point, but I did finish them just 2 hours ago. So I just finished them today. But in my defense, I will talk about that more. My hand has been causing me more and more trouble. So I really have to rein it in, and I really have to cut back on my knitting time. That makes me sad. But I'll have more details. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And I'll probably have more details in future episodes to talk about. But here they are. So when I saw you last, I had just started working on the gusset decreasing on each sock. So the leg was done, the heel flap and heel turn was done. And I had to complete the foot and the toe on each sock. So on both of them I had done a handful of rounds, the first few rounds of the gusset decreasing, but I had all the rest of the way to go down the foot and the toe to complete since I talked to you last week. And the way my hand has been feeling, I was really doing it in small doses. I wasn't spending a lot of hours a day knitting. I couldn't. So it has a really neat pattern. It has got this little spiral design on it that goes all the way around. And then it goes into a different design once you get onto the foot. Actually, I can put them onto my sock mannequin, and I'll show you that. So it has a traditional, well, mostly traditional. It's a little bit different. It's a 4-row repeat on the heel flap. It's a nice squishy heel flap. Heel turn, typical gusset decreasing, and just your regular wedge toe, which I like. It fits my foot nicely. So there we have it. These are the Yellow Brick Road socks by Star Athena. And again, they were the lap 2 high octane design for the Super Sock World Championship. So I'm just going to pause for a minute, and I'll get this onto the sock mannequin so you can get a better look at the front of the design. Alrighty, so there we go on the sock mannequin. So you can see the little spiral design that goes around. You can see the nice little checkerboard type texture pattern in between. And then down the front of the sock, it's a different design. Really pretty, I like it. It was a really fun sock to knit. I really did enjoy knitting these socks. My hand didn't enjoy it, but I enjoyed it. So those are my Yellow Brick Road socks. I used 2.25 millimeter needles, or US size 1, and it's a yarn I dyed myself. So it's kind of a denim-y blue, dusty blue kind of color. So, and there's still a good chunk of the yarn left, so I'll have more to use on something, who knows what. So that's it for knitting content today. That's all I've worked on all week. Yeah, I haven't spent near as much time as I normally spend on knitting during the week, but this trigger finger is getting more and more bothersome, and there's a lot of pain in this area through the base of my finger, but particularly in here and a little bit down into here. So, and even just like moving my hand, it's uncomfortable, and it's locking a lot more, and it's a lot more catching, and it's getting more and more painful. Like when I wash my hands and go to dry them, just putting pressure against that, it hurts. So I've really cut back on my knitting this past week. I'm not happy that I have to do that because I miss it. There was actually one day I didn't even touch, I think on Monday? Thursday? Maybe it was Thursday. I didn't even take the knitting out of, the socks didn't even come out of the project bag. They sat in my field supply bag all day. Field supply? Fringe supply field bag. I can't remember the exact name of it. But what I am going to do is the medical office and hospital just down the road here, my primary care practitioner is there, and there are 2 orthopedic surgeons who work out of the same medical practice. There's several floors to the building. There's several different medical specialties there. They work out of this hospital and a nearby hospital is about a 20-minute drive from here. So they work back and forth between the two offices. So I don't know if I can get an appointment to see. They both there's 2 listed there. They both are listed as accepting new patients, and both of them have listed as some of the areas of specialization are wrists and hands, along with hips and knees and all that other stuff. And what I'm going to do is when they open on Monday morning, I'm going to call the office and ask if I can make an appointment to see one of the surgeons for a consultation without a referral from my primary care. If I can make the appointment, I'll make the appointment, and we'll see when I can get in to see one or the other of the 2 men. If I need a referral from my primary care, then I will get into the portal for the medical office, and I will contact the doctor. He's really good at my primary care. He's really good at getting back to me if I just have a quick question or something. And so I'll just send a message through the portal and ask if we can just talk on Zoom, or if we can just communicate back and forth electronically and have him do a referral for me, or if he wants me to come in and see him face to face in the office. So I'll find all of that out on Monday morning. And I'm hoping I can just get an appointment straight off with the surgeon, just go straight to the surgeon and make an appointment. My health insurance does not require that I have a referral from my primary care, so that's not a problem. So my fingers are crossed that I will be able to get in and see one of the orthopedic surgeons relatively quickly. And once I sit down and talk with them, we'll see how it transpires. I don't think I've told you this a whole long drawn out story. But my thumb was the first one that I had trouble with. And this was back in, probably about 8 years ago maybe. And my primary care at that time sent me to see an occupational therapist who suggested I wear a splint. She was the one they were able to figure out it was trigger thumb. I wore a splint and took ibuprofen. I find that I don't do well taking ibuprofen for any length of time because ibuprofen and my tummy they don't see eye to eye. So I prefer to not have to take ibuprofen. So I did that for a while. It did not improve. So my GP at that time gave me a referral to see an orthopedic surgeon. The surgeon confirmed that it was a trigger thumb, and they gave me a cortisone shot in the sheath of where the tendon was having trouble getting through. The cortisone shot worked fantastically for the first 4 to 6 weeks, and then we just went back to square one again. And it was catching, it hurt, all of that stuff. So when I went back to see him on a follow-up appointment, they said, okay, well, that doesn't work. So our next resort is to do surgery to release the tendon. So I was scheduled in, had the surgery, and it's all fine now. Then about 4 years later, my pinky finger developed a trigger finger. And so at that time, we had moved from Maine to Pennsylvania, and I went to I was with a different GP at that time, and she wanted me to take ibuprofen and wear a splint. So I humored her and took ibuprofen for a little while until my belly told me no more. And I wore a splint, rested it. I wasn't knitting very much at all. I just did a tiny bit here and there. And I did that for about a month and came back to see her, and there was no improvement. So she gave me a referral to see an orthopedic surgeon. When I went and met with him, he listened to my whole story about what happened with my thumb, and he said, well, if the cortisone shot did not work for your thumb, it's not going to work for your pinky. So we just went straight to jail, did not pass go, did not collect $200, and he got me scheduled in to do the surgery to release that tendon. So we shall see what happens with this one. I'm hoping that I can get in directly to see the surgeon, and that he has the same thought process as this one. We're living in a different town now, so I won't be seeing the same surgeon that did my pinky, because that's like an hour and 15-minute drive from here now. So I'm hoping that when I talk to the surgeon here and go through the history of what I've been through with this one and this one, that he'll schedule me in for surgery. Because I know with the surgery, it's not major surgery, it's a bit of a bother, and a healing process and so on, but it works. For me, it works. It worked on these two. It gave me so much relief, and it worked. So I'm kind of hoping that's what we can do with the stinking finger. But we shall see. See, I was just noticing when I made a fist that one doesn't release as quickly as everyone else. Anywho, so that's the story with my hand. And I'm finding that over this past week or two, it's been getting more and more uncomfortable and more painful. And I'll knit for a few rounds on a sock, and then I need to take a break and rest because it's hurting. So I took it slow and easy and I had actually hoped to finish these socks on Tuesday or Wednesday. If I'd been knitting at my normal pace, I probably could have finished them, I would have finished them much quicker. I might have actually got a point for that round of the competition, but that's fine. So I really dawdled and took my time with working on this pair of socks. So I'm suspecting that my knitting for the next week is going to be quite minimal. So by the time it's time to do a podcast next Saturday, I'm on the fence whether I will or will not do a podcast next week. If I've done virtually no knitting, I might come on and do a really short video and show you or tell you what transpired with dealing with doctors this upcoming week. What I am going to try to do is I still would like to catch up on my Advent mittens. I'm way behind on those. I'm about at least three or four mittens behind now. So I'm thinking maybe what I'll do is I might just do one round and then take a break for a while. Then maybe do one round and take a break for a while. And at least try to get maybe finish one of them this week. We'll see. The other thing I'm thinking of doing is switching over and maybe doing some crocheting. I find that when I'm knitting, I use, because I tension the yarn over this finger, but there's movement in both hands when I'm knitting, both through my thumb and my pointer finger, and there's a lot of pressure here, and there's a lot of movement happen. Relatively speaking, there's movement in this hand and along here, which is probably what's leading to the problem, which is usually a repetitive strain injury. But with crocheting, I hold, again, I tension the yarn over this wonky finger, but all I do is I hold the fabric and have the yarn tensioned over this finger, and my right hand does all the work. And this hand just basically just sits there. And I'm just grabbing the yarn and I'm holding my hand in a completely different way so that it's different motions and it's different movements, and I think it's going to have a lesser impact on there. I'm probably going to dig out after I've done the editing on here. I'm going to go and dig out some of my yarn and some of my other yarn and do some work on some crochet projects. And in the past, I've made a whole bunch of what I've heard referred to as pet snuggles. They're just, what I do is I hold two strands of worsted weight yarn together and just do a double crochet, in US terms a double crochet, and make a square that's about 15-16 inches square. And it's a perfect size to crochet up. It crochets up pretty quickly. And I just get a whole collection of them, and then I donate them to the Humane Society or some animal shelter. And they're a nice size for smaller dogs and cats. So I'm going to pull that out probably for this evening, and I'll give that a try and see how that feels and see whether that bothers my hand or not. Because when I'm crocheting, I'm using far more, it's more movement in my right wrist, and the right forearm is where a lot of the motion is compared to knitting, where I'm more actively using both hands more so than my forearms, if that makes sense. So if I do get some crafting done in the next week, I'll come back and tell you about it. Probably either way, I probably will come back and give you a sad story if I've got nothing done, or have a little bit of something to show you. But otherwise, that's about all my excitement this week. Got another little bouquet of flowers. I am so enjoying this. Every Saturday going and getting a little bouquet of flowers from the farmer's market. They're just so pretty. They don't have any smell to them, but they're so pretty. I just really enjoy having them to admire all week. And by the time we're getting to the weekend again, they're starting to look kind of sad and ugly, and they're ready to be retired, and I'm ready for a new one. So I'm really enjoying that all through this summer so far, and hope we can continue with that for the remainder of the summer. But otherwise, I think that's about all. I say 1 finished object, 0 work done on any of my other whips. Well, there's only 3 whips other than this one that I had going this week. So yeah. So I will let you go. I'm going to go and get the editing done here, and then I'm going to go ahead in the kitchen and see what I can scare up for supper. Alrighty, take care everyone, and I will see you again hopefully next week. Bye.